This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from February 14th to February 16th of 2025. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV and welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series where every single Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. This is a channel favorite, right? This is a USMNT fandom favorite. There are even people saying that Mondays should become a national holiday in the United States just so everyone can watch this series. It's true. It's very true. I'm totally not lying. Now, before we start, don't forget to drop a like in this video. Let's try to hit 1,000 likes and also obviously drop a random comment in the comment section down below to give us that algorithm boost, right? Just to rig the algorithm. Now, that said, if you care about Brazilian soccer and, just the coverage of South American soccer in general, we made a channel called Chapéu Football. The link will be in the description of this video. And that's all. If you want to, go follow us there. The channel's growing. It's getting good views. So check it out. We don't upload there as much as here, and we probably won't. But if you want extra content, there you have it. With that said, let's begin. As always, we start with the top 5 leagues in Europe, the first one being the English Premier League. So let's go to England, and why don't we start with Chris Richards and Matt Turner from Crystal Palace. And on Saturday, Chris Richards started and played the full 90 minutes for Crystal Palace during their 2-1 loss to Everton. As for Matt Turner, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes, so I have no comments about Matt Turner. Now listen, I watched portions of this game, and Chris Richards was mostly fine, looking more and more comfortable on that back three. He was off to a rough start a few weeks ago when he came back from injury, but he's looked much better lately. And in case you're wondering, he was not at fault for any of the 2 goals they conceded, okay? Next up, we're going to talk about A-Rob, or Anthony Robinson, from Fulham. And on Saturday, A-Rob started and played the full 90 minutes for Fulham during their 2-1 win over Nottingham Forest. And this is a huge win. This is a really, really big win for Fulham because Nottingham Forest is a top 3 team in the Premier League this season. They sit in 3rd place. Now, in regards to A-Rob, he was okay. He did fine, but he didn't really stand out like he has most of this season. He didn't also push high up the field as much as he normally does, and the crosses, when he was high up the field, they were mostly inaccurate. Defensively, he was mostly fine as well in this game, but I thought the goal was mainly on him. It was poor reading of what was going on at that moment, and then he fell a bit too easily, allowing Chris Wood to get the shot and score. So just to make it clear, he wasn't poor. He just played a bit below the level he has been playing all season long. Honestly, I can't really remember the last time Anthony Robinson dropped a stinker. I don't think he's had a poor performance in quite some time. I can't remember, and I cover this guy every single week. Next up, we have Tyler Adams and Mattia Kimboni from Bournemouth. And on Saturday, Tyler Adams started and played the full 90 minutes for Bournemouth during their 3-1 win over Southampton. And if I can give you 2 advices in life, one of them would be to watch Bournemouth this season. They're very fun to watch. They're also very good. Now, the other advice is to not be an imbecile. You see, not being an imbecile will get you far in life. And even if it doesn't get you far in life, it'll get you further than an imbecile. And listen, later in the video, you're gonna see why I'm giving you this advice because it'll apply to a specific player. And you know what? Let's play a game. Try to guess what player am I gonna talk about with the imbecile advice later in the video. Now let's talk about Tyler Adams, and he was great once again. Simple and efficient on the ball and tremendous defensively. Bournemouth truly ended up being the perfect fit for Tyler Adams. He fits their system perfectly, just like he did with Leeds. The difference is Bournemouth is actually good and they have a good coach. Leeds wasn't good when Tyler was there, right? They even ended up getting relegated, and their coach was also kind of ass. He wasn't good. I'm not going to mention his name. You know who it is. Now, Mattia Kimboni, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Bournemouth. Now let's go to Italy and talk about the Americans in the Serie A, the Italian First Division. The first 2 being Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa from Milan. And on Saturday, Yunus Musa started and played the full 90 minutes for Milan during their 1-0 win over Verona. Christian Pulisic came off the bench around the 68th minute for this game. He was being rested. I mean, they do have a crucial Champions League game during the midweek on Tuesday against Feyenoord, so Pulisic was being rested. Even Rafael Leão was on the bench, so they did rotate. But before I even talk about Yunus Musa and Pulisic's performance, the one thing I want to say is this game was sad and pathetic, and I hated every second of it. It was terrible to watch. It was unwatchable. Now, Christian Pulisic, he was okay. He was subbed in and played on the right wing, but he didn't really do anything bad, and he also didn't do anything great. He was just kind of there. He was okay. As for Yunus Musa, he played on the right wing during the first half, and then he dropped a massive stinker during it. He was terrible in the first half. He wasted a good chance to score. He was terrible in the final third. Just bad, right? But in the second half, he actually played very well, in my opinion. He looked sharper on the ball, blew by some defenders, very effective, just a much better play in general. And then once Pulisic was subbed in, Pulisic played on the right wing, and Yunus Musa moved into the midfield and plays as a central midfielder in a double pivot. And overall, I actually thought he looked quite good in the midfield as well. Nothing spectacular, but a very good second half. So essentially, Yunus Musa had one of those Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde-like performances where he was terrible in the first half, but he was actually quite good in the second one. That's my overall point right there. And obviously, some Milan fans love to hate on him. They hate on him, but I thought he was very good, at least for half of that game. Now, as I said earlier, Milan has a crucial game on Tuesday, and good luck to them on that. They're definitely going to need it, but I'll say this, and you guys know I'm always right. Milan will knock out Feyenoord on Tuesday. It's going to happen in the San Siro, trust me. And no, this is not betting advice, okay? It's just my opinion. We're not done with Italy quite yet. Now we're going to talk about the two Americans that play for the Old Lady, for Juventus, and their names are Weston McKennie and Tim Weah. And they made us proud this weekend. So on Sunday, Mckennie and Weah both started and played the full 90 minutes for Juventus during their massive 1-0 win over Inter. And let me tell you, the Americans were simply incredible. Captain and playmaker Weston McKennie was called in for duty, and he delivered. He looked great on the ball, and he helped quite a bit on defense while still playing as an attacking midfielder. McKennie also created the most chances out of any players in this game, with 5 chances created total. He ain't really a flashy 10, but he can create chances. He can pick a pass. He has different ways of setting up his teammates. Sure, he's not Juan Roman Riquelme, but he can be a freaking good 10 and a playmaker. One of the chances, he set up Koopmeyers very well instead of taking the shot. He could have been selfish, but he chose not to be so, and it was a wonderful play. Unfortunately, Dumfries was able to save his shot on the line. I'm just going to say this, McKennie was great, and he could have easily ended this game with 1 or 2 assists. Now, McKennie was a player that Juventus didn't really want early in the season during the summer, or at least Thiago Motta didn't. And now, he is one of their best players and captain for the season. He literally went from 0 to hero in a matter of months. And I would also not be surprised if Mauricio Pochettino actually plays McKennie as a 10 during the March camp. I'm not saying that'll happen. I'm just saying that it's not out of the realm of possibilities. As for Tim Weah, he was solid in the first half, but in the second half, he was truly incredible on both ends. Dangerous on the right flank, but most importantly, he had a heroic tackle in transition to save Juventus. And you know what? I like goals, flashy moves, incredible assists. I'm not really the type of guy that hypes up tackles. My Brazilian side doesn't allow me to do so. I like dribbling, I like goals. However, the recovery speed and timing of the tackle that Tim Weah had around minute 59 was simply incredible. It was a clean tackle, and it saved Juventus, and it was actually fun, incredible, and entertaining to watch and just see it happen, and it deserves a ton of praise. So as you can see, and as I said, the Americans were very good. They were a big reason why Juventus was able to pull this massive 1-0 win. Next up would have been Gianluca Busio, but he plays this Monday, and you know we record Sunday night, so you know the drill. Let us know in the comment section down below, how did Gianluca Busio do? And obviously drop a like in the video if you haven't already. Now before we continue, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, So Rare. We'll be back in 60 seconds, so don't go anywhere. Or do, you can take a quick piss if you want to, but it has to be quick.
Do you collect sports cards? Do you play fantasy sports? Yes, no, maybe? If you said yes to any of that, I got something for you. And if you said no, you might still want to stick around. Tactical Manager TV is partnering up with SoRare with a special offer. The link will be in the description. In SoRare, you can collect your own virtual cards of your favorite players. And then you may be asking, why would I want to collect virtual cards? Well, you can line them up on 5-a-side games every single week. And if your players perform in real life, you can win actual money, signed jerseys, game tickets, or even more cards to improve your own club. And you can also get unique experiences like a friend of the channel, Fiago, that got to meet Zinedine Zidane. You know what's also cool? They also have the NBA and Major League Baseball. I'm mainly gonna just stick to soccer, but you do you. What I really like about SoRare before we even partnered with them is that they're unlike other fantasy games where you have to pay per play. In SoRare, you pay to get the players you want permanently as cards, and then you can play multiple times using those same cards, at least until the player retires, win rewards if your players perform in real life. You can also buy undervalued player cards for cheap, then hold, use them in the future when they improve or develop, and then you can even sell that card when its value goes up for better ones. Or just keep the money yourself. And if you use the link in the description of this video, you will get $50 in credit after buying your first 5 cards through auctions or instant buy at any prices. Play with responsibility. All right, enjoy.
Okay, we are back from the ad and you are back from taking a piss and hopefully you washed your hands. With that said, let's talk about the Americans that play in Germany in the Bundesliga. The first one being Giovanni Reyna. And well, he doesn't really play that much in Germany, but sometimes he gets a few minutes here and there. And on Saturday, Gio Reyna started off the bench and was subbed in the final 10 minutes for Dortmund during their 2-0 loss to Bochum, a terrible Borussia Dortmund side, shall I say. And they were down 2-0, and he was literally their last sub with 10 minutes to go. Remember when I said earlier in the video to not be an imbecile? If Gio Reyna stays with Borussia Dortmund past the summer, let's just say, I'm not going to call him an imbecile, but let's put it this way. It means he ignored my advice to not be an imbecile. Now let's talk about Joe Scally from Borussia Mönchengladbach. And on Saturday, Joe Scally started and played 74 minutes for Gladbach during their 2-1 win over Union Berlin. Next up would have been Kevin Paredes from Wolfsburg. This dude is still injured. I honestly don't remember the last time he played. Now, John Token from Holstein Kiel was off to a hot start, was playing well for them in the Bundesliga, but he had a muscle injury and was not available this weekend. So next on the list will be Leonard Maloney from Mainz. And on Sunday, Maloney started off the bench and was subbed in the 78th minute for Mainz during their 2-0 win against his ex-girlfriend, Heidenheim. His minutes took a hit with this transfer because he left Heidenheim and went to Mainz, but keep in mind, Heidenheim is a relegation battle team, and he went to another team that's fighting for a Champions League spot. So the minutes going down was sorta expected. Next up, we have James Sands from St. Pauli. And on Saturday, James Sands started and played the full 90 minutes for St. Pauli during their 1-0 loss to Freiburg. And unfortunately, we have bad news. Sands left the game with a major ankle injury. He had to go through surgery and is dealing, or was dealing at least, with a bone fracture and a torn ligament. He is pretty much done for the season at this point. It's unfortunate because he was off to a good start in Germany, but for now, let's just wish him a speedy recovery. Last but not least in Germany, we have Noah Kai Banks from Augsburg, and he just stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes this weekend. I have nothing to say there, that's all. But he was getting consistent minutes, at least for the past 3 to 4 weeks. It's gone down the past 3 games, which is totally fine, totally expected. Still a major talent with a very high ceiling that I would be 100% okay if Pochettino brought in during the March camp. Okay, so now let's go quickly through Spain, La Liga, because we only have one American playing there right now, and his name is Johnny Cardoso. And on Sunday, Johnny started and played the full 90 minutes for Real Betis during their 3-0 win over Real Sociedad. It was a solid performance from Johnny Cardoso defensively and on the ball. He played his role and helped Real Betis get this win, the clean sheet, and the 3 points. Okay, time to go to France. And obviously, we always start with Florin Balogun, but as you know, he's really not expected to be back from the shoulder surgery or injury. I believe he had surgery or shoulder injury, whatever, until April. So let's skip Balogun and talk about Marc Mckennie from Toulouse. And on Saturday, Marc Mckennie started off the bench and was subbed in the 70th minute for Toulouse during their 1-0 loss to PSG. So he came in when they were already down 1-0. He also did pick up a slight knock last weekend, so he wasn't really benched. He was just being being rested. It was more of like precaution. And he's definitely still the starter for them. He has been one of the best defenders this season, not just for them, but even in France, because Toulouse is among one of the best defenses in the league. Yeah, so don't worry, Marc Mckennie is still a starter for Toulouse. Next up, we have Tanner Tessman from Lyon. And on Sunday, Tanner Tessman started and played the full 90 minutes for Lyon during their 4-1 win over Montpellier. And he was actually good, or at least decent to say the least. I'll put it this way, he has looked better the past 2 to 3 games than he had earlier in the season. He played his role very well in a double pivot alongside Matic, and having Paulo Fonseca in charge, Pulisic's former coach, has actually been quite good for Tanner Tessman, and he is starting to catch some good momentum. He hasn't been anything spectacular so far, but serviceable. Okay, now we're gonna go to the Netherlands and talk about the Americans in the Eredivisie. So we're gonna start with the PSV boys versus Paxten Aronson, because Utrecht and PSV clashed over the weekend. But let me just start by saying Pepe's done for the season due to a knee injury. Tillman is pretty much done for the season due to an ankle injury. Serginho Dest has still not come back from that torn ACL. He's also not doing those crazy TikTok dances anymore, unfortunately. So it's essentially Richie Ledesma versus Paxten Aronson. And on Saturday, Paxten started and played the full 90 minutes for Utrecht during their 2-2 draw with PSV. Tillman, Dest, and Pepe were all not available, as I said, due to injury, and Richie Ledesma, he actually started for PSV as a right back and played the full 90 minutes. Probably the highlight of this game for US men's national team fans was the goal scored by Paxten. And unfortunately for that goal, he took a massive dump on Richie Ledesma. Like a really big doo-doo. A tremendous shit. Know what I'm saying? But you know what? He showed great reading of the game, off the ball movement, followed by a good header to score with, as I said, a little bit of help from Ledesma and his poor defending. Like I said before, also, he kind of dunked on Richie Ledesma during that goal, during that header. PSV has actually kind of collapsed without all of the Americans. This team really misses them very badly. They've been kind of mid without Dest, Tillman, and Pepe being available. And I'm just going to say it, they're probably not going to win the Eredivisie this season. It's most likely, or almost most certainly, going to go to Ajax. But wait, there's one more American in the Eredivisie. Actually, he was already there. It's Taylor Booth. He left Utrecht for 2 million euros and went to Twente, which was a very good move. And now, at least this weekend, he played. And on Sunday, Taylor Booth started off the bench and was sent in the 78th minute for Twente during their 2-0 win over Waalwijk. I think that's how you pronounce that team's name. And he actually got the assist for the second goal. Yeah, it was a good move. He wasn't playing for Utrecht. He needed to go elsewhere. He didn't choose to go to MLS. He stayed in the Eredivisie, and he's going to keep fighting for minutes. And I'm wishing Taylor the best of luck. And I actually think he has the talent to thrive in the Eredivisie. We've seen that like 2 or 3 seasons ago when he was very good for Utrecht. He's fallen off due to injuries. He got the move, and hopefully things work out. Okay, now we're going to go back to England and talk about the Americans in the EFL Championship, the second division of England. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Daryl DK. He was back after, I think, over a year since he tore his Achilles for the second time in his career. He was back for West Brom, and we will keep track of him on a weekly basis and see how he does now that he's back from injury. But why don't we start with Josh Sargent from Norwich. And on Saturday, Sargent started and played 77 minutes for Norwich during their 1-1 draw with Hull City. And Sargent actually scored their goal off a nice header. He now has 9 goals and 5 assists in the EFL Championship this season, and he missed plenty of games due to injury. No one's really questioning his impact for Norwich. He's been their best forward for, I think, 2 consecutive seasons at this point. But can he do it for the national team? This March, he will likely get a shot since Pepe and Balogun are not available, and he has to deliver. Now, Brenden Aaronson plays on Monday. You know the drill. Let us know in the comment section down below. How did he do? Haji Wright, still recovering from that ankle injury, was not available for Coventry over the weekend. Ethan Horvath, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Cardiff City once again. So now let's close the EFL Championship with Aidan Morris from Middlesbrough. And on Saturday, Aidan Morris started and played the full 90 minutes for Middlesbrough during their 1-0 loss to Watford. Now, Caleb Wiley was not available for Watford as he is still recovering from his shoulder injury. And I wasn't really able to watch this game because I actually forgot about Aidan Morris and I actually forgot about Middlesbrough. But apparently, he did very well. Did anyone watch this game? If you did, care to comment? Last but not least, still in the United Kingdom, we're going to go up north to Scotland and talk about 2 Americans that play there. Cameron Carter-Vickers and Trusty, or Austin Trusty, from Celtic. And on Saturday, Carter Vickers and Trusty both started and played the full 90 minutes for Celtic during their 3-0 win over Dundee United. And Trusty actually got an assist during this 3-0 win. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like right now before you go, and a comment if you made it this far in the video to boost this video in the YouTube algorithm. Also, once again, if you want to, go check out our channel, Chapéu Football, if you want to watch Brazilian soccer content in English. Thank you, Sorare, for sponsoring this video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.